Hi, I'm Jeff Unalp from Unalp CPA Group, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Earned Employee Retention Credit, the ERC. There are a lot of questions out there about it, and there's not a lot of good information. There's a lot of solicitors which send out emails, and there's information that's not necessarily true. And a business owner can get in a lot of trouble following one of these solicitors. And so let's try to set the record straight on what the ERC is, what the solicitors are trying to do, and how you qualify for it. So I've developed a PowerPoint to talk through it so that you can see how this works. So let me share my screen. And this is the information here. This presentation is as of November 5th, 2022. What we will cover today in the presentation is what is the ERC, Employee Retention Credit? Beware of the solicitor. How to qualify, and then how much money will you get and how long will you have to wait? What is the ERC? The purpose of the ERC was to help qualifying employees keep employers on payroll during the pandemic. So when the world shut down, the government had a vested interest in trying to keep people on payroll. And so they did PPP and they did ERC. PPP was the Paycheck Protection Program. ERC is the Employee Retention Credit. So number two, ERC is a credit against payroll taxes, both Social Security and Medicare, for qualifying wages made from 3/13 of 2020 to 12/31 of 2021. It can be claimed on the payroll tax 941 or on an amended return. And really, if you would have to claim it on the 941. Your 941's already been filed. They're filed quarterly by your payroll company. So for most of these quarters, they're probably already filed, or you probably have a bigger problem if you didn't file them. And that means you're going to have to file an amended return. Over 50% of businesses have not yet filed for this. So it's really important to ask, do you qualify for it? First of all, I want to say, beware of the solicitor. Many of my clients have gotten calls or emails promising the client that they can get money from ERC by filing and amending their returns. They will tell you that your CPA does not know this law and is only an expert on income tax. This is usually not true. CPAs have a fiduciary duty to do what's best in the interest of the client. I'm also an attorney, so I have to protect my clients. These ERC, what we call sweatshops, are designed to make money by charging high amounts for filing the amended return. The fees usually range from either 15 to 35% of the ERC refund. And they promise things they can't deliver and may be putting unsuspecting clients at risk and in harm's way by filing an amended return that does not meet the laws. This exposes the client to civil fines and criminal prosecution. You may ask, well, how can I get in trouble? Well, you're signing it. You're allowing a company that does this for a business. They're just running the mill and they're trying to get as high a fees as possible. So you don't know what they're putting on those returns and if everything is truthful. So you have to be very careful when hiring one of these firms. Now, how to qualify. You have 3 years to file an amended return from the date of filing the 941. For 2020, the last day to file a claim for the ERC is 4/15/2024, and for 2021, it's 4/15/2025. So there's still time. Did the business or nonprofit pay W-2 wages or health insurance in 2020 or 2021? Some relatives of majority owners may not qualify for this. So you have to be careful and look at it. Not everybody on payroll may qualify. This also may include your group health, pension, retirement plans, tips, and severance. But it is capped, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Does the business or nonprofit qualify? Well, you can qualify if you had a full or partial suspension by a U.S. government order. And that may be a state order too. In California, we had essential businesses, and some businesses were told that they could not operate. The best way to qualify is a drop in gross receipts. And you could be a recovery startup business. And we'll talk about each of those very briefly. How to qualify on a full or a partial or full shutdown. The operation is fully or partially suspended due to orders from an appropriate governmental authority limiting commerce or travel or group meetings due to the coronavirus disease. Wages qualify only for the time of suspension. So if your business was suspended for 30 days, that's the wages that will qualify. So it's a little bit more narrow than you'll see the next one, which is a reduction in receipts. Now, if it was a voluntary shutdown, for instance, my firm, we sent everybody home, but we were an essential business and we could still operate. If it was a voluntary shutdown, it does not qualify. If it limits commerce, travel, groups, or meetings, but did not affect the employer's operation, it does not qualify. It always depends on the facts here. The IRS has an FAQ, a long list of FAQs, and they talk about examples. For instance, one example is a Burger King that has a dining room, but it still has a drive-through. Does it qualify? Well, you have to apply the law and the facts like you do in any situation. It always depends on the facts, and this is where most of the action is. So this is where you really have to have somebody that understands the ERC. If a portion of the business is shut down with employee hours or sales, at least 10% compared to the same quarter in 2019, you may be able to get a portion of it. So again, you have to look at the facts here. Drop in gross receipts. This is the best one to qualify on. For 2020, an employer qualifies if gross receipts sales drop in any one quarter by more than 50% compared to the same calendar quarter for 2019. If you pass in one quarter, you get the next quarter. So, for instance, if in Q2 2020, your sales were 50% less, more than 50% less than the same Q2 in 2019, you qualify that for that quarter and you qualify for the next quarter. So you have to make sure that you're looking at it and make sure that you're beyond that 50% threshold. For 2021, an employer qualifies if gross receipts drop in any quarter by more than 20% compared to the same calendar quarter for 2019. Now, except for Q4 of 2021, the Infrastructure Act took it away. We do not have that test, and Q4 you can only get if you're a recovery business. If an employer meets either of these tests, all qualifying wages paid in the quarter count for the ERC. Now, a recovery startup business can't qualify under the gross receipts or suspension test, because what is it? It's a business that began operations after 2/15/2020 and has under $1 million average gross receipts. Then they may qualify as a recovery startup in either Q3 or Q4. This is the only way to qualify in Q4 of 2021. The employee retention credit is limited to $50,000 for each quarter for recovery startup business. So it is very limited and very narrow. Now, the dollars, how much can you qualify for? For 2020, a maximum of $10,000 of wages per year per employee at a 50% rate or $5,000 per year per employee. So that's decent. For 2021, it gets a lot better, a maximum of $10,000 per quarter per employee at a 70% rate or $7,000 per employee per quarter for 3 quarters. So 21,000 per employee per quarter if you qualify. So that is really good. And more than likely, most of the people I talk to, most of the businesses I talk to, they are going to qualify under the receipts, the gross receipts reduction. That's generally where they're going to qualify. And it's better than the full or partial shutdown. It's usually wider and you get more from it. And there's not as much questions legally on whether you had a full or partial shutdown. And just one word of caution, supply chain issues are very difficult to get here as a full or partial shutdown. So be very careful how you're doing it, because the IRS is hiring more and more people, and they're going to be looking at these. And they've extended the statute of limitations to at least 5 years. So they're going to have time to look at this and go back. And if you do get something that you think might be questionable, you need to put that in a separate account and save it until the statute of limitations runs, because you never know when they're going to come back and try to get it. When the IRS will come back and say, you owe that money. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope that if you have any questions, you'll reach out. I'm happy to talk to you. And if you need to have this done and qualify for ERC and have your payroll tax returns amended, we certainly can do that. And I look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you for your time and thank you for watching.